morning and welcome to Public Pulse. Now, this morning I am joined by the chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Captain Tom Ringley. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Floyd.
Now, I was away last time you guys were on the show, so I will ask, how was your holidays? I'll start with you, Chief.
I had a fantastic one. I was able to take the family on a little vacation.
Oh, nice.
So, went to some warmer weather for a short period of time, but it was great. Spending time with the family. Had a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Ocean?
Yes.
Ah,
Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
So
nice.
It was fantastic.
I've never been able to swim in the ocean. I've flown over a few of them, but I did get an opportunity when I was in Qatar, but I passed. I decided to go golfing on an actual course for the big wigs. Tiger Woods was supposed to be there the next week. We made so many divots, I thought they were going to kick us off. How about you, Captain?
They were good. We were able to get all of our officers and dispatchers a little bit extra time off so they could spend time with their families. The public did a great job, as we talked about last time. I think we had one DUI on New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And that was good. So that means the community enjoyed the holidays in a responsible and fun manner. So overall, it was great.
And you know, Chief, you and I have talked about this. Captain, you as well. All of us have talked about this so much, that drunk driving is and you said it best, the number one preventable threat to our community. It's absolutely preventable, but it is even more threatening than like theft or anything else.
It's just more prevalent, and it's one of those things that it poses a serious safety risk to not only the person who is driving that vehicle, but the innocents around it. So it's all encompassing on who it affects, and those tragic accidents that occur because of a drunk driving accident have far-reaching effects. The ripple effects throughout communities oftentimes are tragic, and as you said, it's preventable. We've worked so hard to provide avenues and ways for people that overindulge, whether purposely or accidentally overindulge, providing them ways to get home safely without having to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. It's a choice that people are making, and we still work hard day in and day out to try to affect that choice that people make, to make the right choice and to find alternate ways to get home.
Captain, you and I have been talking about this for a number of years now. The number of DUIs was lower last year than in many previous years.
Yes.
What would you say caused that drop?
It's a variety of reasons. One is I do think that our community's making a conscious effort to get home safely.
Yeah.
Also, our staffing is a little bit low. We are missing a couple officers off the street. We have the replacements in background right now, but even 2 officers at 10 to 25 DUIs a year is probably roughly the average. So there's 30 to 50 DUIs that we're not making. But I'd like to think it's primarily the community is doing a
They're
good
stepping
job.
up.
Yeah. And the reason we know this is because it seems like the average alcohol concentration is going up.
Oh, really?
We're not arresting people on the margins at 0.08, 0.09, where our average is usually, and we haven't looked at this year yet, about a 1.5 to a 1.7. So we're arresting people at twice the limit.
Goodness.
And it's, so there's fewer people consuming that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But they're consuming a lot though. Yeah.
And if they are, then they're making good decisions to get home, whether it's with the free rides or designated driver or walking home.
Well, I'll tell you what, well done, Sheridan.
Yeah.
Well done to the folks who make that decision. It is a conscious choice, as the chief said.
And one thing we also look at is sales and use tax for alcohol, which is continuously rising. But it doesn't look like our DUIs are rising proportionately. In fact, it seems like they're dropping. So that's another indication that the people in our community are doing a good job.
And I think the partnerships that we've made with the liquor dealers over the years, too. I mean, the bar owners and the employees are a lot more aware of the problem and are partnering with us to combat it as well. So kudos to them for the work that they've done and making sure, offering those rides home, the Safe Rides program and some of those things, and participating in that program. That's a big help, and we need their partnership in that as well.
Now, I understand, excuse me, the business owners and the servers, I get that they're very conscious of trying to remove this risk from our streets. But also, if we look at it economically, if one of my patrons were to get so drunk that they go make that choice to go outside, and I don't prevent them from doing that, they jump in the car and they take off, they get a DUI or they get in an accident, I'm losing a customer there, and maybe even a friend. You know, some of these folks, I tended bar for a long time. I had regulars. I developed relationships with these individuals, and I was always worried about getting them home. And where I was actually tending bar, we kind of had like a free rides home program. And so I was more than happy. Let me call somebody for you. You know, it was my pleasure. Thanks for asking. I'll do it for you right now, you know. And so servers, you're the front line. Business owners, you are the front line to stopping this. Just let them know that you can help them out. Now, the Sheridan Police Department will be testing for new officers tomorrow.
Yes.
This is fantastic. How often do these tests take place?
We test at a minimum if we have applications on the third Thursday of every month, or if we have someone that can't make a third Thursday, then we test them whenever they can make it. A lot of agencies test once a year and every 2 years, and to me that's nonsensical if you maintain a list. We prefer to get people on board as soon as possible and get them through backgrounds as soon as possible. So it's easier to process 2 people through backgrounds than 5.
Yeah.
I was hired with 4 other people.
Oh, wow.
It seemed like it took forever to get the backgrounds done. But we also wanted get people into town when they can make it, because we seem to, if we can actually get people to Sheridan, then they often have trouble leaving.
Yeah.
Or they may leave and go home, but they tend to come back.
And they just think about those mountains and the city, and
And you know, it's the actual testing process is only a day, which is fairly unique. Some places it's 2 to 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
And then there's a follow-up day where the successful candidates who have passed the 3 testing events sit down with a background investigator and to get that ball rolling.
Now, what number of applications do I need to go ahead with testing? If I've got 1 or 2, do we test?
We will.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's important getting our staffing levels where we need to be, and also if we don't want to miss out on having good candidates that, if you wait 6 months, they may find a job elsewhere. And if it's a good candidate, we want to get that, so to speak, get our hooks into them as soon as we can, so to speak. So yeah, it's important for us staffing, and we'll donate. I don't want to say donate. We'll dedicate the time to ensuring that we find quality candidates for the police department and get them on board.
Now, for those taking this test, is this step 1, or have they already been evaluated in some other way by the time I sit down at the desk?
It's a constant evaluation. Some of it informal. For instance, if we see an application, and to me, an application is indicative of a future work product. If I can't read it, it's typed in. We've got some typed in about a 3 font, or it's incomplete. Then that's going to really make me pay a lot of attention to certain questions in the testing process.
A 3 font. You need a magnifying glass.
And on the flip side, if it's neat and complete, and there's an essay portion and a well thought out essay where people actually break paragraphs, then that tends to impress me. And also there are some rejection criteria within the that we can look at within the application.
So right away,
such as driving record, drug use, criminal history.
Yeah. So right away, you can be eliminated just by filling it out. Being honest.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you what, you guys are going to find it if they're not.
And you bring that up, being honest, and that's probably the number one thing that will disqualify somebody from a job with our agency. Even if they do the initial process as well, they do well in the written test, the interview, and the physical. If we find where they were dishonest with us through the background investigation, they are eliminated immediately.
Done and done.
It's not, we always say, it's not what you did necessarily, within limits, there are that, but it's what you don't tell us that we have to find out.
Yeah.
You know, and if you had a police contact when you were 19 or 20, or you did, these things, tell us. Let us know that. And not telling us is a sign of your lack of integrity and lack of honesty, and we can't have that on our department.
I took a secret clearance check years and years ago. And while I was taking it, you were only supposed to give information, I think, for the last decade. Well, they went back even farther and were asking me questions about 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, wow, you know. And now, when it comes to background checks like that, how deep do we dive here?
It's deep. If practical and within our budget, we have to go so far as to make home visits. We've gone as far as the Denver area just to see how people live. That's another a potential indicator of their future performance. If they can't take care of themselves, how are they going to take care of our community? We talked to past employers. We've talked to more than a few employers to where they indicated that performance was poor.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, performance is outstanding. Luckily for us, most of the employers we talk to have praise for the people that are coming to us. It's important that one has a good credit history.
Right. Yeah.
And I know there's a little bit of controversy with credit checks and police backgrounds lately, but for us, it's worked because once again, not only are we exposed to often huge sums of money in cash and drugs and valuable stuff, once again, it's an indicator. Can you take care of your own business?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that was one thing that during that clearance thing that I thought about was, well, bribes. There are a real threat, and especially in the force, it's all throughout the United States. And so we just eliminate that possibility right off the bat.
Yes.
Now, when I go in to take that test, I sit down. How long am I going to be there?
Well, the first thing you're going to do is you don't get to sit down. You get to do push-ups, sit-ups, and a mile and a half.
Get to.
Yes, we allow you to do that. And those are with the state post standards. That generally takes an hour. The college is kind enough to let us use the dome in inclement weather.
So it's a great environment to do it.
And they pass those standards, then they move on to the written test, which is an online test. People are generally finished by lunchtime. We give candidates time to decompress, and our first interview is usually about 1:30, and those interviews take as long as it takes for the candidate to answer the questions. We've been in there anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour.
Wow!
But it's probably 4 hours of actual work.
Yeah.
Counting all the way through. It's important to us that we do complete it in a day, because we're cognizant of people's work schedules and their time and expenses in coming to Sheridan as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you know, we get a lot of officers from out of town.
Yes.
And you know, heck, kind of like them to poke around town a little bit.
Yes.
To check out the city.
We actually encourage that too. Even though the process takes a day, we encourage them to, if their schedule will accommodate it, to take a little extra time, do a ride along with our agency during the testing process, visit the town, visit the community, and evaluate it. Because as we tell them all the time, it's just as important it is for them to feel like they're a fit for the department, or vice versa, for the department to feel like they're a good fit for us. They need to feel like this community is a fit for them. And so we really want that, and we encourage that. So, but if you were on a short deadline, you could do it in a day.
I spoke with a recruiter once for another service, and he was a great recruiter. And I asked him how he based who he chooses to really talk to. And he said there are individuals who the service will improve them, and there's individuals who will improve the service. And he said both of those individuals are worth my time. Yeah. And you know, sometimes you get an individual who had no direction in life, and then all of a sudden they just find that service. They put that uniform on and put that shield over their heart, and boy, they are ready to go.
And that's the value in life experience. When we have our interviews, we don't ask any police questions because, you know, if I can learn them, anyone can. But what we're looking for is certain character traits that are almost always bred from life experience. We have some people to where they're young, but they have those traits anyway.
Yeah.
But life experience really pays off. So that's where having a solid work history or the military is beneficial, or prior law enforcement. Two of our best hires we've made in the last probably 10 years are former detention officers.
Yeah.
We're young, but they went and got the experience and then came to us.
And they've seen it. They've probably seen people in their worst conditions. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's kind of part of your job. You're going to see someone on their worst day, pretty much no matter what you do.
Yeah.
All right, I got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue with our Sheridan Police Department. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
Federal Bank and Trust would like to recognize this week's winner of $1,000 and a $1,000 marketing donation match from Sheridan Media. As part of their community commitment, the Food Group is receiving these funds per random drawing.
Could your organization be next? We're giving $1,000 to a qualified nonprofit organization every week. Visit our website, efirstfederal.bank, for details. First Federal Bank and Trust and Sheridan Media present Community Commitment, member FDIC.
Legacy Diamond & Gems is so thankful for your patronage in 2022, making it their most successful year ever. Striving for excellence at Legacy Diamond & Gems is always their top priority, and they are taking important steps this year to improve their overall efficiency and preparing for their complete store remodel. They are improving their service with new store hours, 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, and 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Closed Sundays and Mondays, Legacy Diamond & Gems, 11 North Main Street in downtown Sheridan.
Well, Frackleton's is finally seeing that light at the end of the tunnel where we open back up. That small fire really had some big consequences. Anyway, the construction is very nearly completed, and Frackleton's is already gearing back up for our reopening. That said, we're looking for some front of house and kitchen staff to join our award-winning Frackleton staff. Stop in to apply. Just a couple more weeks, then it's good food is good mood time at Frackleton's Fine Food and Spirits, Main Street, downtown Sheridan. Remember when your mom used to say, "Don't break your arm, patting yourself on the back"? Well, if you ignored her and broke your arm, then the Health Nut is the place for you to get all healthy again. Every inch of the Health Nut can make you feel better about yourself. The soup, sandwich, and deli bar and smoothie so good you'll forget you even got a broke arm. Remember when your mom used to say you'd forget your head if it wasn't attached to your shoulders? Well, we can't fix that. But most everything else at the Health Nut on Sheridan's 5th Street.
You deserve to hear better and live well. Hi, this is Elizabeth.
And JT Kraft from EBIA Hearing and Sound. With recent developments in over-the-counter hearing aids, we want to make sure you are cared for and have the information you deserve.
FDA-approved OTCs are designed for adults with mild to moderate hearing loss. But how do you know if you fall into this range? We understand and can accommodate your desire to purchase a simple solution, but want you to know how important provider care is for your outcome. Where will you go if something fails? Can you adjust your devices if your hearing loss changes?
We have amplified hearing protection and basic OTC devices starting at $399, but we also fit prescriptive hearing aids tailored to your loss, which may ultimately serve you best, and that is our goal. Funding and financing options are available.
Visit us at 1273 Coffeen Avenue, online at ebiahearing.com, check our ad in the Country Bounty, or call 674-8920. That's 674-8920.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by our friends out there at First Federal Bank and Trust. I'm Floyd Whiting. I'm joined this morning by the Chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Captain of the Force, Tom Ringley. Now, if you've ever considered putting the uniform on and joining the team, tomorrow you will have the chance to test for that opportunity. But the test is only the beginning. There is also a physical fitness assessment, an oral board, and a 2 to 4 month pre-employment background investigation. Now, once we get through all of this, Chief, if we should make it through all of this, what happens next?
So if once the background is completed by one of our background investigators and they give me the nod to say, yes, this looks like a viable candidate, we send them to a polygraph examination. We partner with Gillette Police Department. They have polygraph examiners over there, and they're very willing to help us out and conduct those polygraph examinations. There's a psychological evaluation, and that's a requirement of statute that they are to be, all officers detention are required to have psychological evaluations. I think even communications maybe upon initial employment, and a medical examination, which is essentially a sports physical.
Yeah.
once we get that information back, the psychologist we use is a psychologist out of Cheyenne that is specifically trained towards pre-employment fitness for duty examinations for law enforcement in general, because it's very specific to that. So, and once that occurs, there's an interview with me, and then we make an offer of employment, a formal offer of employment.
So after they make it all the way through this, then you offer the job to them.
Yeah, they're given a conditional offer at the onset, and the conditional offer says essentially pursuant to completion of these next steps, because we have to have a conditional offer in place to ask some of the questions we ask through the rest of the process. There are rules, federal rules governing what we can and cannot ask candidates until an offer's been given. So it's called a conditional offer of employment.
Oh, wow.
Once they get to me, it's a formal offer and a start date. And I sit down with them and I explain my philosophy and my expectations for people who come to work for us, and the things we look for, and the teamwork that's necessary, all the characteristics of a good officer, and sit down and outline the expectations of working, and then we pick a date to start.
And without getting too specific, because I don't want you to give away your secrets, but as we're sitting there having this interview, are you looking for reactions? Are you using your detective mind to kind of see the way that I react to certain key words or phrases? Or?
Well, somewhat, but I have extreme confidence in my background investigators, and if there's indicators, most often than not, they've caught them by
they've
that
already
point.
been hit. Yeah.
At the point they get to me, they've been through that 2 to 4 month process. It's very extensive. It's routine contacts with my background investigators. And I trust their judgment 100%. But I haven't had it happen to me, but I can see it if I get a really obvious reaction to a question when I'm talking about characteristics, and there are no secrets. I just talk about the need for teamwork, the need for honesty and integrity, the need for being able to solve problems. I talk about them. There are no secrets. When I say what's characteristics of a good individual, people can run those through their minds, and those are some of the things that they think about: trustworthiness, all those kind of things, and and talk about the philosophy of the department, about that service mindset, helping our community, and why we do our job day in and day out. I don't suspect I'll get a reaction because, like I said, that point's already been passed.
By the time they get to you, they've already demonstrated, probably in abundance, these characteristics. Captain, do you ever sit down with them and kind of go over, as kind of the captain of the force? I mean, the chief is in charge. You're the one on boots on the ground.
I review the background. Lieutenant Hill is in charge of the actual background investigations. They're generally completed by detectives. Every once in a while, I'll complete a background depending on how busy everyone is. But my role is to review the background for completeness and accuracy, and to see if there are any questions I want followed up. Once again, I've already interviewed these candidates. I participate in the oral board, so I've got a pretty good grasp on who they are and what they're about. So I just make sure there are no questions that I have left unanswered, and there are very, very few, if any. Corporal Rogers, Lieutenant Hill, and are very, very good at doing these backgrounds.
And by the time it hits you, all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. You're basically kind of reviewing work, which is the job of a leader.
Our standard for work product is that it only needs supervisor review. And that's what I get, especially from our detectives.
Yeah. I will admit I had a rough time once I got into a leadership position in the military of having that individual over top of me. Why are you going and asking my soldiers if this is done when I've done it? Well, it's because it was his job. It's still his squad. So him checking on everybody doesn't mean that he's, making some sort of micromanaging judgment over top of everything.
Well, also the value in the chief meeting to us is like, hey, this is the chief.
Yeah.
This is serious. This is a grown-up profession. And this is where Chief underlines everything we've been telling them.
Yep.
During the prior 2 to 4 months.
And now you get to go to the head office.
Yeah. And you're hearing it from the mouth itself. So that it's a serious meeting. It's not a formality. There is kind of a weird tipping point to where right after that, we always say our goal in backgrounds is to wash the right people that need washing. But after that, it's a retention process. There's a huge fallacy when we were new that the field training program was designed to wash people, which is complete nonsense. At this point, it's all about training and retention and keeping these people we've identified as the right people.
Yeah.
It's not a rite of passage, it's training and education.
And that's something that we haven't discussed a whole lot and that's retention.
Yes.
That can be quite the challenge in this day and age. I'm sure a lot of cities out there are looking for good quality officers. And I don't want to think that it happens, but I'm sure it does. A little bit of farming.
It does happen. And one of the things that's occurred in the state of Wyoming is retirement is all consolidated. So your retirement's completely portable. If an sworn officer wants to go to another jurisdiction, they don't have to worry about losing that investment of the retirement that they put in for 3, 5, 8 years. They can go to that next agency and take that retirement with them because it's all in the state system.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of that goes on. The sheriff and I actually had a conversation just the other day about that, and we are on the same team, and we both have the same philosophy that we're not going to try to recruit across the aisle and across the board because we're servicing the same community. We're in the same boat, and so we needed to work together to try to draw our candidates from other places and do the best we can to work together on that. But it does happen, and we know it's going to happen, and it's
not much you can really do.
There's not much you can really do. Sometimes people just need to, something. I came from another agency when I came to Sheridan wasn't my first career. It's my home, and it was always my goal to get back here. So we have many officers who have worked at different agencies out of state, mostly out of state. Now that I think about it, and have wanted to come to a better quality of life, and we provide that for them. But retention's huge, and doing what we can, we make a huge investment in people. And that's part of the philosophy that we have too, is we do when we sit down with them, we have goal settings and like kind of a career path. And we show them, here's where we're going to take you in your career and to set them up to accomplish the goals that they may have personally at the time when they start in law enforcement. Do they want to specialize in an instructor field of some sort, whether it's custody control, which I always shake my head if they want to be custody control instructors.
Yeah, it's because it's hard.
No,
that's a 20-year thing right there. You don't want to go down that line.
I can't do any more front falls. But if they want to, are they interested in detectives down the road? What can we do? What training and what can we provide you to set you up for success?
Yeah.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah, and you meet your goals. You want to stick with the organization that helped you get to that point. And as you said, this is an investment. We're investing a lot of time and money into this.
It's also how we stay competitive in retention. People can make whatever they want to out of their career here. They can come be a fantastic patrolman for 20 years and retire, or you can come be a fantastic patrolman, or you can pursue any interest that you identify. For instance, as our detection dogs was a need that an officer identified. The chief of police didn't identify it back about 8 years ago. So that a sergeant actually did and developed a whole project and wrote it up and got it approved, and we have 2 dogs now.
That's amazing.
So sometimes we don't know what we don't know we need until someone out on the street tells us, hey, we're missing this. It's something we may not see. So people can really write their own ticket here in regards to career development. There are some hard requirements that we have, like we required sergeants to go to leading police organizations training as soon as it's available. There's some formal steps that we have, but otherwise people can pursue their interests if they're aligned with the needs of the department in the city.
And that really creates like a sense of ownership, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
When I'm the one who helped develop this dog program, boy, you're going to take pride in that, and you're going to stick around because you're not going to get that opportunity. And I don't know for sure, but I would imagine you're not going to get that opportunity in a much larger metropolitan area.
The most current example is us and the Sheridan Police Department and Sheriff Dominguez's Sheriff's Office are developing a unified approach to critical incidents. There are 2 very similar right ways to do it, but line level officers are developing this. And a representative from the local DCI office. They're developing it from the ground up, and it's all based on training and experience. We're not making stuff up, but that's all led from the line level.
That's amazing.
And it was a need identified at the line level as well. And it's extremely important to the community. And with the end stake of we can show up at a critical incident with deputies and officers mixed in, and we will know exactly what everyone's going to do, and we're going to do it to take care of a problem the same way.
Just like water, just come together to
Yes.
make one big team, and we all know what has to be done. That's amazing. I've had some other stuff to talk with you about, but I've run out of time. Chief, Captain, thank you both so much for coming in.
Thank you, Floyd.
One more time, where is this testing going to take place?
It will
Captain?
take place at the Sheridan Police Department. If anybody has any, it's too late to test tomorrow probably, but give me a call, 672-2413, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, when we return, we're going to speak with the mayor of Buffalo, Shane Schrader. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
First Federal Bank and Trust would like to recognize this week's winner of $1,000 and a $1,000 marketing donation match from Sheridan Media. As part of their community commitment, the Food Group is receiving these funds per random drawing.
Could your organization be next? We're giving $1,000 to a qualified nonprofit organization every week. Visit our website, efirstfederal.bank, for details. First Federal Bank and Trust and Sheridan Media present Community Commitment, member FDIC.
Are you ready for the spring semester to begin? Drop by Sheridan College's main campus or the Bomber Mountain Civic Center in Buffalo for Walk-In Wednesday on January 18th from 3 to 7 p.m. No appointment necessary. Meet with admissions, financial aid, and academic counselors to plan the next steps of your education. Individual appointments are also available. Visit sheridan.edu for more information. Register now. Spring classes begin January 23rd. Sheridan College. Begin your journey.
The owners and staff at Kane's Funeral Home would like to thank the families of Sheridan and Johnson counties for choosing Kane's and allowing them to serve you during these hard times. Kane Funeral Home makes it their mission to take the stress and uncertainty out of ceremonial services. They own and operate the only crematory in Sheridan County, so your loved one is always in their care. Kane's Funeral Home. Call 673-5837 or visit them online at kanefuneral.com.
Face it, you don't want to do your own plumbing and heating work or repair. You need a professional, and that is exactly what you will get if you work with Rapp Plumbing and Heating. Being fully licensed, bonded, and insured, you can rest assured that they will take care of your repairs and maintenance in the very best way possible. Call Rapp Plumbing and Heating at 429-1196 and rest easy knowing it'll be done right. This is Dan Rapp with Rapp Plumbing and Heating. And as we like to say, if you find a leak, let me take a peek.
I'm with Candace Crane from Sheridan Honda and Power Sports.
Tommy, hi. Listen, I know you like to be stylish, but the neon colors from the 90s are just not in anymore. It's time to upgrade your snowmobile gear.
Okay, you gonna hook me up?
Of course. We have monosuits, bibs, coats, beanies, base layers, goggles, helmets, and it's all 25% off.
Wow, what a deal.
And not only that, but all manufacturer accessories are 10% off. So if you've been wanting to make your side-by-side street legal or add to it, now's the time.
Shop the great deals today at Sheridan Honda and Power Sports.
Floyd Whiting. For the second part of our show this morning, I am joined by the mayor of Buffalo, Mr. Shane Schrader. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. How are things going on over there in Buffalo this month?
Oh, it's a bright, sunny morning, and, they'll skip the snow, but hey, it's January. We'll take it.
Yeah, sun in January is a good time. Now, how were your holidays, sir? I haven't had a chance to talk to you in a while.
My holidays were good. Spent it with family and some friends, and, that's what it's all about, and we had a good time and made memories and, had some really good food, which kind of went against my diet, but oh well.
That's usually
no calories at the holidays, right?
That's right. I think I actually put on about, I'd say probably 5-6 pounds this year over the holiday season.
Oh, like you have to worry about 5 or 6 pounds.
Sir, at your most recent meeting, the Buffalo City Council actually passed ordinance number 1413 on first reading. The ordinance amends Chapter 16 of City Code under the offenses concerning contact with wildlife in the cities. Now, I live in Buffalo. I've got deer who come into the yard every year, feed off the lawn. They don't bother me. I don't bother them. I also get a lot of turkeys, and that's what this is concerning, isn't it, sir?
Operation Gobble Gobble, yes. So it's turkeys. And, you know, what it pertains to is there's been a lot of concerns, not only brought to the city offices, but to the county offices about the flocks of turkeys and the gathering of turkeys, and primarily, you know, the dangers that it causes. And, you know, when you eat, it has to go somewhere, and it usually ends up on people's sidewalks and lawns, and then their pets eat it, and their pets get sick. And, you know, it's just they're wild animals, they're wild game birds, and don't feed the wild animals. I mean, that's what it's come down to.
So this is essentially what this ordinance is going to basically say. Don't feed those turkeys.
Correct.
Okay. So that, I mean,
we want the turkeys to go back into their natural habitat and do what turkeys are supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, with the threat of avian flu kind of resurfacing throughout the state, I can totally understand that concern. Has that been brought forward?
Has that been brought forward?
Yeah.
Is that what you was asking?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That was one of the concerns. And, you know, if you want to double down on that one, go to the grocery store and buy a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
You know, a dozen eggs are what, $6-7 a dozen now in a lot of places. And so there's that. And, you know, you get those animals back out in the wild, they're spread out a little bit more, and it's more difficult for that little flu bug to get spread, where if they're in a big flock, then it just spreads. And, you know, a lot of people have chickens too. So
yeah. Absolutely. I can completely understand this ordinance. It's passed on first reading. It's got 2 more readings. Have there been any objections to this ordinance brought to the city council?
Not to the city council, but I do have a neighbor that let me know unequivocally what she thought of our idea.
I imagine it wasn't exactly positive.
Depending on which side of the turkey argument you're on. But, she let me know she did not agree with our decision. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Now, applications, I'm going to switch gears on you here real fast. Applications for the 2023-24 Johnson County City of Buffalo 1% funds are being taken until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February 28th. Sir, these are very important monies. Could you tell us what these 1% monies fund for the City of Buffalo?
Well, they fund, I think the proper way to word it is agencies that help the community that aren't directly funded by city or county. So that would be chambers, any type of organization that would help the community. And, you know, last year, I think the city put in $165,000. I think the county matched at $165,000. So that's $330,000 that we can give back out to the community on that fifth penny tax. So it helps a lot of folks. You know, CASA's one, Center for Families, crisis shelters. All those types of groups can get this money to help operate throughout the year.
Now, are there any key requirements that some of these organizations have to meet before they're eligible for these types of funds?
Well, I think it has to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form, in a beneficial way. I don't believe that you can use it for operational expenses such as wages or that type of thing. I think it has to go to equipment, training, you know, other types of programs that you may have.
Like a one-time purchase type of deal.
Yeah. For example, and then you fill out your application and it goes to what we refer to as the 1% committee, which is a volunteer group of folks from both that are suggested by the county and by the city, and they sit down and they review them, and they are an advisory board to the city and to the council and the commission, and they recommend what dollars get funded and how much amount to each group, and then the final decision comes down to us, the elected officials, to decide where it goes from there.
Now, I've witnessed this process, I think, on 2 separate occasions when I was working over there in Buffalo. This is a long process. Some of these discussions on where this money should go can last pretty long, can't they?
Yes. And it's a board I would, encourage people to be on, because it does, if you're not familiar with a lot of these organizations and what these organizations do, it helps you to understand why they're important to the community and why these dollars are important to go to them to keep their organizations going. So if you want to be on a board, talk to City Hall and we can get you on that board. But it just helps. And so a lot of times you have new board members and they have to understand what the group is, what their functions are, how it benefits the community. And then you have to make the tough decisions of the recommendations of this much needs to go here and this much needs to go there. So there are some very long, drawn-out, lengthy discussions that are well needed.
Yeah, and should be had. Now, sir, as mayor, your role, kind of the tie-breaking vote, is that still kind of your role as you go forward with the 1% committee and the elected officials make that vote?
Correct. And, that all comes down to being part of our budget discussions as well. So as we go into budget season, which are always fun and enjoyable, all that's discussed, and we even discuss how much money we're going to allocate out. So there are lots of decisions that go on, and our new councilman served on that 1% committee for several years before coming on to council, so he'll have a broader insight. And with our new councilwoman, it's a fresh set of eyes coming in that can look at things a little bit differently than those of us that have sat there for multiple years and seen them come through.
Now, when it comes to the budget season, is everybody kind of getting geared up? Or department heads starting to write things down and get their packets ready? Oh,
absolutely. They've already been hinted by me that it's coming and to be ready. And we have one new department head for sure. Two, I think our inspector, planning and inspection, went through the process last year, so he's a little bit more seasoned. Our chief will be a new one coming into the budget season. He got a little bit of taste of it last year, but it'll be good. But I have to say with our department heads that they communicate daily, if not weekly, with the clerk treasurer, and everybody knows where their budgets are at, and they're very well versed on increasing prices throughout the year and what they need and what they need to ask for. So they're geared up all year long on working on their budgets, and it's just crunch time, when it comes down to the final moments for
Absolutely.
them.
I'm sure, it's probably nobody's favorite time of year, but the fact of the matter is this is such a vital process. And you guys are very, very lucky over there. You've got Julie Silbernagel, who is a fine CPA. She taught me more about finance than I think school ever did.
I will always say I may be the mayor, but she's the boss.
Absolutely. She knows.
And it's the way it should be. Mayors come and go, but she's been there for years. So
yeah, she knows the inner workings of that city like nobody else. And those department heads, I will also say that working with the department heads over in Buffalo was a pleasure. It's a pleasure working with professionals and individuals who know what they're talking about. I'm lucky in Buffalo, and I'm very lucky here as well. So I want to congratulate all of the department heads within both cities for everything that they do. You're really helping to keep the cities moving forward. Now, speaking of moving forward, I only got a couple minutes left, but I do want to talk about the awarding of a liquor license by governing bodies is always under a microscope. There's such a limited number of these. Recently, Buffalo City Council voted to continue a decision to award an available bar and grill liquor license. I think those are even fewer than the other ones. This is a different type of license than the typical ones, isn't it?
It is. It gets into this whole wonky percentage of food versus alcohol sales and all that sort of mind-boggling stuff. Part of the continuation was because if you look at the legislature, there's several bills moving forward that could make things a lot easier to get those licenses. Because right now there's 3 people applying for the one license. And the establishments need to be ready. They need to move in. And so part of the continuation was waiting till all the applicants were ready to sit down and talk with the council, and also to see what the legislature does this year on those other liquor changes.
Yeah, the law may be changed before we know it.
Correct.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you so much for calling in and visiting with us today. It's good to hear your voice, sir.
Good to hear yours. I think we live on the same street, and we don't hardly see each other.
We never get to see each other. I'm a bit of a homebody.
You live at one end, I live at the other. But
all right, sir, thank you so much. You've been listening to Public Pulse on 930 KROE at 103.9 FM.